Ladies and gentlemen, Gary Moore.
Hi. Thank you. Welcome to Tell the Truth. I would give anything if I could say that the one on my left is me, but it isn't. This is me over here. This is Giorgio de Sanangelo, one of the world-famous fashion designers. And good merciful heavens, George, is that going to be it?
Is it?
This is the new
Not
male...
going to.
This is the new male look?
Yes.
The Indian look is what you're calling it?
Yes. Yes. The last time we saw each other, I was a gypsy.
Right, right. You go in large for costumes. Are we going to go in more for costumes than for clothes? I mean...
It's not costume.
No?
It's having fun out of life.
Uh-huh. What about the makeup? Are people going to wear this makeup around?
Have you seen a lot of kids in the street going makeup on their faces? It's a lot going on in New York. And
First thing he said to me was, look at your lapels. Aren't you ashamed? Well, now, the makeup that we're going to see on our contestants here are of your design.
Yes, they're my design.
Recommended for street makeup?
Yes, for anywhere.
For anywhere?
Yes.
All right, fine. Now, remember that he won a Cody Award for this design and predicting this Indian look. So let's first say hello to the panel, George. Oh, you know most of them anyhow.
Gene Raven. Kitty Carlisle. Bill Cullen. And Peggy Cash.
Well, now, before we meet our real contestants, I suggest, George, you go back and get a good spot by the monitor so you can see how it is, and good luck with your new thing, and thanks a lot. George. That's going to be the new look, fellas.
Yeah, I like it.
That is going to be the new look.
That's what the man... No, everybody. That's what on the subway, in the supermarket, that's what the man says. All righty. Now let's meet the lady who is associated as makeup artist with Giorgio de Sanangelo.
Number one, what is your name, please?
My name is Marina Schiano.
Number two.
My name is Marina Schiano.
Number three.
My name is Marina Schiano.
All right, our job is to find out which three of these ladies is the real Marina Schiano, and here is her story. I, Marina Schiano, believe in colorful paint for pale faces. As assistant to the famous fashion designer Giorgio de Sanangelo, I helped execute the makeup to accompany his magnificent Indian-inspired dress collection, the Indian fashions that won him the famed Coty Award. The makeup was inspired by the ritualistic and colorful face makeups worn by the various Indian tribes and immortalized by the famous painter George Catlin. Number one's makeup was inspired by Catlin's painting of an Apache chieftain. The large triangular mask revealed the name of the chieftain. Number two's makeup suggested the zigzag sand paintings of the Navajo tribe. Purple and white form a large triangle over her eyes. Number three's makeup is traditionally Inca. A little mask is painted around the eyes in blue and turquoise. This mask is intended to last a lifetime. With the popularity of the costume look in fashion, I think the day may come when we'll be seeing a housewife looking very much like an Iroquois squaw shopping at the supermarket, or a suburban Seminole in full regalia sipping soda at the corner drugstore. Signed, Marina Schiano. That's the wildest look we've had here in a long time. We'll be back in a few seconds. Don't get lost, anybody. Come back.
Since Armageddon hit, there's been a lot of this going on. Even a little of this. But the one that hits McDonald's this week is the great.
2 CDs, $26.98 plus $4.95 shipping. Have your credit card ready and call now.
Now, these three stunning squaws each claim to be Marina Schiano, Giorgio de Sanangelo's makeup artist, and we'll start the questioning with Big Chief Gene Rayburn.
Yeah, why not? Thank you, Gary. Number one, you got any idea why the Indians lost the war? of question, number one. Now, number one, what I want to ask you is, suppose I had a date with you, and we were in some dimly lighted restaurant, and you aroused my libido, and I wanted to nuzzle your cheek. Wouldn't I get that gook all over me?
Well, you'd be willing to risk it, I'm sure.
Yeah, it does come off, huh?
Yes.
Yeah. Number three, where did you go to school?
In Italy?
What's that?
In Italy?
In Italy. Oh, you majored in finger painting, did you?
Face painting.
Face painting, yes. What do you call that? Is it regular grease paint?
No, it's a theatrical makeup.
I can't...
Theatrical
theatrical
makeup.
makeup, yes. Number one, what's the significance of one feather? Does it mean anything?
The one feather simply complements the dress. It doesn't mean anything in particular.
Okay, and that takes us to Kitty.
Number three, Gary said that your war paint is to last forever. It will last a lifetime, right?
Yeah.
Well, now, what makes it last a lifetime, and why would you want it? Don't you wash your face?
I do wash my face, but I like to paint it again the next day.
Well, then how can it last a lifetime?
I think the implication in the affidavit was the Incas would have it tattooed.
Oh, tattooed, I see. Oh, thank you, thank you.
Obviously,
number two, did Indian ladies always wear this, or only for ceremonial occasions?
For ceremonial occasions,
So
yes.
why are we going to wear it in the subway?
Well, just to make life brighter, I think.
I see. Number one, why is it that everybody today looks as though they're going to a fancy dress party on Halloween?
Because we're dressing it in a gayer fashion. Right.
And number two, which is the one that had the painting that showed the name of the chieftain on it? Is it you, number one? Well, how could you tell his name by what you have on your face?
You would have to be familiar with the painting. George Catlin's
it's
painting.
simple.
Yes.
I see.
Thank you, Kitty. Bill Cullen.
Now, I'm confused, which is not unusual. It says that you, number two, well, I'll address this to number two. You're the assistant to Giorgio de Sant'Angelo. This makeup that you're wearing, that you created, where does one or does anybody wear that except, I don't know, at a ridiculous occasion like this?
You mean in everyday life now
Yes,
for
yes,
people
ma'am.
to assume? Well, I would suggest that you could wear it for special cocktail parties, so that for the very reason that men don't come too close.
Yeah, I don't know about Gene, but it'll keep me away, I'll tell you right. And number one, do you hold with that falderall? Would you go, number one, to a cocktail party with that on with your face like that?
I might,
You might.
yes, or another version, depending on the dress you're wearing.
The dress you're wearing.
Yes.
Thank you. Now, Peggy, when these girls came out, you said, gee, I love that.
I do love it. I think it looks great. Number one, why do you have that pinkish base? It's so reddish, the base. Is that supposed to be the color of an Indian?
Yes, that's the color of the mask in George Catlin's painting.
I see. But number two, I think yours is better because your teeth look so white, because it's bronzy. I'm going to go for yours. Number three, how long does it take to apply this stuff?
About 15 minutes.
15 minutes if you're George Catlin, but I mean for an ordinary person.
No, not only George Catlin can do that. I mean, it's just Abbott, I think.
All right. But number one, how long does it take to get it off so you don't ruin the sheets for the rest of your life?
About the same length of time, about 15 minutes.
And does it come off with theatrical cold cream?
Yes.
Now, number two, do you have to set it after you put it on to set it? You know, make it so, to make it not run so that you don't have purple streaks.
Oh, no. These paints don't run. They're Leichner.
Leichner.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. Number three, when you dance with anybody, think of the shoulder of a suit.
Well, it depends on the new dancer.
That's right.
You never do it
The kind of guys I go out with.
Because if you were dancing with me, I wouldn't have to worry about the shoulder of my suit. I'd have to worry about going home with pink on the top of my head. But you're all very impressive, and you're all very lovely. We must now vote, and we make up our minds whether it's going to be number one, or is it going to be number two, or is it perhaps number three. $50 is the penalty for a wrong vote, $500 if all of the votes are wrong, and Gene Rayburn, you look puzzled.
Well, I've never been, nothing personal, ladies. You just turned me off, that's all. Will the real number one wash her face?
A nasty man. Yeah. Let's go to Kitty.
I voted for number two because she has the most professional attitude toward this whole thing. And she said because it makes life gayer. And I think that's what makeup is for.
So it's 1 for 1 and 1 for 2. And Bill Cullen, what do you think?
Well, I would never vote for anybody who only wore one feather. That's number 1. And I like number 2, but she has too much mascara on. And for that reason, I voted for number 3.
You're out of your head. All right. So, hey, look, everybody's
What
got
about
a
me?
vote. Kitty, I was just going to say, you're going to be the tiebreaker, Peggy.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, I think you all explode it. You see, I think number 2 is the real one because that color that she's got on that base makes your teeth look so white you could get a dentifrice commercial. I would still mind that color, so I voted for 2. Besides, she knew about Leichners, I call it.
Okay. The votes are all in. Have you made up your mind at home? Will the real Marina Sciano please stand up?
Avanti.
Okay, now, thank you, Marina. I'll be back to you in a moment. Let's find out about number 1. This kills me. Number 1, what is your real name, please, and what do you do?
My name is Elva Carroll, and I'm secretary to Cyrus Vance.
Your family will never know that you were on television. They can look at you and never know. Number 2, what is your real name, please, and what do you do?
My name is Vijay Vasa. I'm a professional dancer, Hindu dancer, and teacher, and teach here and go all over the world performing.
I was talking to Marina before the show, and she was quite worried about her English. She is French. You handled yourself beautifully. Marina, what do you say when you walk down the street with that makeup on, which you do? What do you say to people?
I mean, what people say to me?
Yes.
You must be kidding.
You must be kidding. You picked up your English rather well, indeed. You must be kidding. I think you must be, too, but apparently not.
Either. They must, they say, I bet you forgot your makeup at home.
Marina, thank you very much. And ladies, all for being with us here on To Tell the Truth today. Now then, to introduce our next guest, by way of leading up to some marvelous film coming up here, I want you to look at the grace, considered the size, the tonnage of the animals involved. Look how graceful, up in the air again. Now, the man who taught these superb horses to perform such dazzling caprioles is our next guest, and we'll meet him in just a moment as soon as To Tell the Truth has a little pause here. We'll be back. And now let's meet our fabulous horse trainer.
Number 1, what is your name, please?
My name is Ottomar Hermann.
Number 2.
My name is Ottomar Hermann.
Number 3.
My name is Ottomar Hermann.
All right, and here is Professor Ottomar Hermann's story as follows. I, Ottomar Hermann, train and ride a magnificent breed of horse known as the Lippenzahner. These beautiful white stallions are large-boned and heavily muscled animals, a trait that enables them to perform the incredible ballet leaps that are world famous. Look at some of the Lippenzahner's incredible feats as I tell you a bit of their history. Their sturdy and agile ancestors were found in Andalusia, Spain, even before the time of Christ. The Lippenzahners achieved their preeminence in the 16th century at the Habsburgs' Spanish riding stable near Lipizza, Austria. During World War II, the horses were saved from the retreating Nazis and the advancing Russians by General George S. Patton, who placed them under U.S. military protection. In order to carry on this fine tradition, my family has trained these wonderful horses for 6 generations, and it is my hope to institute a Spanish-American riding school here in this country. Signed, Professor Ottomar Hermann. Bill Cullen, you're always horsing around. You want to give us a thing?
Those horses are magnificent.
Aren't they?
Number 1, are you the only member of your family at the moment currently engaged in training these horses?
No, I have my
sons and daughters also working.
Thank you. Number 3, how exactly, when this horse leapt in the air and did a completely unnatural thing for a horse to do, he kicked forward with his front feet and backward, how important, number 3, is the rider to this maneuver?
Well, it's very important.
Number 2, what does the rider do? Does the rider have a foot signal because there was no foot handler there? What does the rider do to make the horse do this?
The rider gives the horse the commands.
Yes, I know. But number 1, how are the commands given by the rider, primarily?
It is given with the pressure of the legs.
Thank you, Bill. And Peggy?
Number 2, they're trained really by dressage. Yes, the horses?
Correct.
Thank you. Number 3, what are airs above the ground?
Capriole.
Thank you. Number 1, during the World War II, the horses were stabled outside of Vienna. What was the name of the town in which they were? Because that's where I saw them first.
They have been evacuated to Hostau in Bohemia.
Thank you. Number 2, how old is a horse in its prime when they're really the super best performers?
The Levitana is in best condition when he is 12, maybe 15 years old.
Thank you. And number 3, how old are they when they're retired?
About 32 up to 36 years old.
Thank you. And number 1, how many Lippens, how do you breed them so that you can keep having Lippenzanas? There aren't that many Lippenzanas in the world. So you don't get feeble-minded Lippenzanas.
Yes. It is a crossbreed between Andalusian horses and Arab males.
Arab strain
Yes.
horses. Yeah. All right, and that takes us down to Gene.
Arabs yes. Well, number 2, is it Pavlovian conditioning? Is that how you train these? No? That's all you're going to say, number 2, right? Just nod your head a little bit like that. Okay. Number 3, would you say your first name? For we have here, it says Otto Hermann. You were saying something else there.
Ottomar. Ottomar.
Oh, Otto's short for Ottomar. You learn something every day here, don't you? Number 1, how many Lipizaners were there at the time when General Patton saved the herd? You remember?
It was a small amount between 40 and 50.
Between 40 and 50, the gentleman says. And Kitty Carlisle, we go to you.
Thank you. Number 3, how long does it take you to train one of these beautiful animals?
About 6 years.
And number 2, I'd like to pursue the question of the training. Are they trained with coaxing, with rewards, or with punishment?
With love and kindness.
With love and kindness, no punishment. And number 1, would you answer a little more fully Peggy's question? You don't breed the present-day Lipinsanas to each other only. You breed them to outside horses, right?
No outside.
Oh, you breed them to each other?
Yes.
Well, number 3, how come they don't get to be feeble-minded and too inbred?
Well, we only take the best.
I see. And what do you do with the others? Oh, I don't want to know.
Well, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're all from the same family. It just means that they're all of the same race, really, in horse language. All right, so now then, let us make up our minds. Who is it? Is it number 1? Is it number 2? Or do you think it's number 3? It'll cost you $50 in your imagination if it's a wrong vote. $500 if all the votes are wrong, and Bill Cullen starts out.
Well, I don't know enough about horses and the Lippensteiners, although I admire them to be able, but I like number 2 because he was certainly a man of few words. I mean, and I think a man who trains horses should be a man of few words, so I voted for number 2.
Okay, it's 1 for 2, and what does Peggy think?
Peggy's stumped. But I seem to see that the horses were either at Linz or Graz, because that's where I saw them anyway. And number 2 said they were at their prime when they're 15. I think they're at their prime when they're even older than 15, so I voted for number 3.
So it's 1 for 2 and 1 for 3, and Gene Rayburn's up.
Well, Peggy's probably right. I imagine it is number 3. But number 2 did such a superb acting job, if he's not the guy, that I just had to vote for him. And as soon as he gives me the dressage signal, I'm going to jump right over the table here.
And Kitty, it's up to you.
Well, I
now.
think it may well be number 1, but I voted for number 3 because I think from what these poor eyes tell me, he's wearing a horseshoe diamond stick pin.
He goes to the track.
Well, we're kind of tricky sometimes. You never know about that. Let's find out. The votes are all in. Will the real Professor Ottomar Hermann please stand up?
No kidding.
Yeah. Thank you, Professor. Number one, sir, what is your real name, please, and what do you do?
My name is Günther Sauer. I'm a restaurant and banquet manager at the Hotel Elysee in New York City.
Good. And number three, with 2 wrong votes, what is your real name, sir, what do you do?
My name is Paul Scherf, and I'm the manager of the Uptown branch of the Swiss Bank Corporation.
And it kind of tickled me that a couple of you zeroed in on number 2. We talked just before the show, and he is a gentleman, but he is firm. Yeah. And if you're a Liepenzahner and he tells you to do something, you gonna do it. You ain't gonna argue with number 2. And Professor, thank you very much for being with us, and thank you, Imposters. It was a joy having you here on To Tell the Truth. Over the years, in working with various people who train animals, I have learned that animal trainers are a very peculiar mixture of the very gentle and the extremely firm.
Yeah.
It said in my notes that the professor's name was Professor Otto Hermann, and then he said his own name was Ottomar. And I said to him before the show, I said, it is Ottomar, isn't it? He said, precisely. I wasn't going to argue. See you tomorrow, friends. Be here.
Transportation and other considerations provided by Chevrolet. Featuring the 1971 Chevelle, America's most popular midsize car, new bumpers and grills, same solid, dependable performance at a Chevrolet price. Hotel accommodations, courtesy of Delmonico's Hotel on Fashionable Park Avenue, ideal for gracious women. Visit famous Delmonico's restaurant for superb continental cuisine. This is Johnny Olson speaking for To Tell the Truth, a Mark Goodson, Bill Todman production.